You know, this might be Meghan Markle's greatest ever mistake, or in fact, a genius idea. Either way, let me explain. Morning, chums. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me as ever and for taking the time out. It's been a busy old week, hasn't it, really, for Markle, Meghan Sussex, Duchess of Sussex, whatever you want to call her. What's interesting, really, is she's really sort of not stopped trying to push her own brand, her own remit. And it's become a farce already with the Fortune sit-down interview with her. Simply because, as you can imagine, the backlash has been phenomenal. But it isn't really just the backlash that's the problem. The problem really is whether that results into traffic, and people clicking on and wanting to hear the interview. And what you've heard is just a pile of nothing. The usual things about, the problems with social media and, all that sort of stuff, people wanting to attack her. One interesting factor, and it's always interested in this bit with Meghan, is the fact that when you think about it, she often likes to share these moments, and she says things like, I'm just looking to sort of partner with smaller level companies, right? Now, normally, and I've covered a lot of this stuff, and I've had many careers, as many of you know, whether that be in the theatre, the recording industry, marketing, media, running television studios, and you know a thing or two about business. And the thing is, when you apply yourself in front of an audience and you sit down and you say, this is what I'm looking to do, normally at that point, there's a few ears go up and think, oh, right, So for instance, if Simon Cowell sat down and said he's looking to develop the greatest DJ show, suddenly the agents of all the greatest DJs are going to get in and say, what about him for a judge? What about that person for your panel? It comes through like that. Meghan announcing to the world that she's suddenly looking to partner with smaller companies has resulted in nothing. Nobody's coming forward. Now, I've often said, and I genuinely mean this, I do not want to wish anybody ill in business. It's not an easy thing, but it's hard graft, And what's very clear with Meghan Markle is she doesn't want to put the groundwork in. She believes the title of the association of the royal family is seemingly enough, and we've seen that with every single thing that she's done, from Spotify to the Vogue thing to the Netflix affair. Everything's about, well, I'm here, surely that's enough. It isn't enough. It doesn't work like that. Now, again, where this gets really interesting on the bigger level is now who she's deciding to associate herself with. She sat down with Bloomberg. She sat down with Fortune magazine. And the thing is, these are very big hitters, but also they're ruining their own brands because ultimately, while they've drawn eyeballs to the screen, that's the only thing they've done. Nobody believes that Meghan Markle's an entrepreneur. But now she's ramping it up a stage or two. And for me, this is really where it gets interesting and rather perilous if you're Meghan Markle. You see, Meghan feels that she's far more intelligent than everybody else around her. And as long as you go along with that perception in her presence, and this is from ex-staff members, you're fine. You're living fine. You can survive another day and pick up another paycheck. But if you have an opinion that hasn't exactly come out of Markle, then she gets kind of annoyed. Now, what's interesting is Meghan recently sat down, popped up at this Power Women's dinner thing, and this was hosted by the British entrepreneur Emma Grede. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Now, I have to say, I like Emma simply because she's one of those people that you can see as grafted, as we say in the North, and put that groundwork in, connected herself very well, is an articulate speaker, beautiful to boot, well groomed. I mean, if you were looking at a dynasty tick box, you've got this woman, If she walked into a room, you would be interested because she's had success. And if she was honest, Emma, she would say she's had a lot of setbacks, a lot of kicks in the teeth along the way, given the fact that, number one, she's a woman and she's trying to break into a business thing. And that's a lot harder, actually, than men, from my experience. Secondly, of course, when you are beautiful, people don't take you seriously. It's just a known fact. What would she know? How does she know anything about a hard day's work? Meghan connecting to this woman, particularly a woman of colour, was the ideal icing on the cake. What's in it for Emma? Well, had you heard of Emma really, apart from the appearance on Dragon's Den? Behind the scenes, and this is what I noted about working in business. People behind the scenes in business, once they get the money, they love hosting seminars, popping up with their Madonna microphone on the stage with all their staff, cheering away, whooping away, because they have the money and you hold the key to their job. Now, what's interesting with Emma, what a lot of people won't realise, is she recently became an ambassador for His Majesty the King's Trust, all about helping youth workers, all of that sort of stuff. And she's already been over here to England to meet with those people. The next stage naturally will be a very big reception, no doubt either at Windsor or Buckingham Palace. As I said, I admire Emma. Get next to the wealth, get next to the powerful, it elevates your brand. Meghan really does not understand exactly what Emma has in mind. Now, when Emma sat down with Meghan a couple of months back now to discuss her failing brand, Emma actually, against all of the people that Meghan has sat down with, was very good at sort of pricking the bubble, right? She did get a few good digs in there, but Meghan is so lost in her own world that she never picked up on it, And Emma really was sort of, the thing with like, oh, we watched your baby mama dance. Basically, her eyes were smiling, but what she's really saying is, can't believe you put that out, But obviously, this is what got the attention. Now, when Emma sat down with Meghan, she wanted to elevate her brand and, more importantly, her name in the business world. It didn't matter whether it was a good or a bad interview. Suddenly people are talking about her. Suddenly people are clicking on the traffic to her website, the business. She has a talking point when she goes into meeting. What was it like meeting her? What was she like behind the scenes? You see how this evolves. However, Meghan Markle believes on her side of the coin that she's very clever. You see, Meghan openly believes that, as I've said this to you before, and the world knows this, that basically the royal family owe her, and of course her husband, this grandiose apology. And the thing that Meghan likes to do, just to sort of annoy senior members of the British monarchy, is this sort of stuff. Wherever Catherine, gets a wonderful photo opportunity, you'll see this where she's now pictured with where she was going around some aircraft, and you can see that the guy is absolutely enamoured with the Princess of Wales. Who wouldn't be? She smells divine, looks great, all that sort of stuff. That wasn't a posed picture. This one, which Meghan has copied, is a posed picture. Whatever Catherine does, Meghan finds a way of putting herself in. Meghan has no original ideas. There are none. She just morphs into the next person that she thinks is in vogue, i.e. Victoria Beckham, dress like her, style your hair like her, walk like her, emulate that thing, and people might think it's the same thing. So why did she want to be so friendly with Emma? Well, you see, what's interesting here is when Emma suddenly goes to Buckingham Palace, and this is my perception of this relationship. You see, couldn't she just put in a kind word about how Meghan feels very dark and very down about what's gone on with the royals, and knowing that King Charles is very empathetic. And there you are facing, as I pointed out earlier on, a beautiful woman suddenly in front of you saying, my friend really regrets everything. Would I think that Emma would do this? I think it would be unwise, would be the most kindest thing that I could say. But you see, Meghan is so wrapped up in herself that she believes that Emma is the next thing, the next move forward. And remember also, as you can see now, and we've explained this previously, Victoria Beckham is now the king linchpin of fashion over here in the United Kingdom. I'm not saying she's the biggest seller, but she's now the biggest known name in fashion, all thanks to the Netflix and the Vogue Association. Meghan is trying to morph into that angle as well with the new US editor. So she's pivoting down these particular lines, and this is, as I say, where this gets interesting. Emma, you see, bless her, will know exactly what Meghan's about. She's a savvy lass from East London. She's taken the knocks. She's climbed all the way out of, some might say, difficult beginnings, to find herself with the very elite, the people that, are movers and shakers, and the people that can really make her brand. If anybody's absolutely making it, shall we say, a little bit tricky, it's Emma herself by being associated with that. Because as we've seen, so many people in the past have been left in the debris, cut off. But Emma knows that by standing next to Meghan, people are going to click on. She's got free publicity, and suddenly they're all sitting around in this very lavish dinner, back-patting themselves about how marvellous they are, running empires. Emma could genuinely say, I have run an empire and it is successful and it's making money. Everybody in that room, if you look at the guest list, are very successful individually. Some more than others, but some are still at the nurturing stage of their business. But they're all turning a profit. Every single one, apart from the woman that wants the most attention. And I'm not being unkind. The thing is, we all know this, right? That basically Meghan Sussex, the Duchess of Sussex, whatever she wants to call herself, is there because she married rich. And you can see this in the pictures. It's look at me, I'm the one with the title. But it's the women around her that are actually more successful. Now, the problem that Emma's got is at this point, and I don't really think it's going to be a problem because she's clearly very good at extracting herself from situations, is this: she will fall by the wayside, because if Emma does not do what Meghan wants her to do, which is to smooth the path back into the royal family, not to return, but to simply get back pictured privately, leaked out, whatever. But is Emma truly going to risk this now prestigious association with the King's charity as an ambassador to those wonderful youth projects, just in order for Meghan Markle to find a way to smooth the path back? This is what's gone on behind the scenes with the distractors. This is what's gone on behind the scenes with all the new people working with her. In my opinion, and again, I have to just say, this is my opinion, Emma is a savvy operator. I think she's very, very clever indeed. And if Meghan Markle feels that she can pull the wool over Emma Grede's eyes, well, truly, she's got another thing coming. But behind the scenes, Emma, this is the plan, whether you knew it or not. Neil Sean, Kensington, London.